Hey, what's up everybody? It's Josh here from Geeks Podcast, and real quick, I just want to kind of give my impressions / a quick review on Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, I didn't get to see it opening night, which killed me because normally I love to go to midnight launches, but I just couldn't swing it this time. But I did go see it opening day, and I have to tell you, what an amazing film. And it's amazing for a few different reasons. For starters, obviously there are a lot of parallels you can make between Guardians of the Galaxy and Avengers. You've got two Marvel superhero teams that are, fighting a huge evil, as it were. But the really interesting thing about Guardians of the Galaxy is Marvel took kind of a gamble, because this was not the most popular comic book. In truth, the Guardians are kind of a bunch of D-listers, or, if you're a fan, sorry, maybe not D, but certainly B or C, I think we can all agree on. So they had kind of these unknown characters, and they took a gamble that audiences would go nuts for it. And they totally did. According to the box office numbers, it looks like it's already passed like 90 million in the first weekend. Rotten Tomatoes rating has been wavering, I think, between 91 and 97%. Critics love it. Audience members love it. And honestly, I thought it was fantastic, and I had very little familiarity with these characters, maybe a little bit with Rocket Raccoon from like Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, but beyond that, not a whole lot of familiarity with the Guardians of the Galaxy. So going into it, the first thing I'll say is it really didn't feel that much like a comic book movie. If it didn't have the Marvel stamp on it, I would have just thought it was a sci-fi flick. And, the fact that, we have this very grand, epic kind of sci-fi opera, I think is the way people are describing it. To me, it kind of felt very refreshing. The first time I've really seen a movie of that scale since, like, I don't know, like The Fifth Element, maybe? I mean, that's just a personal favorite. Maybe you've got a better example than that. But, yeah, I mean, it's so rich with sci-fi. And I'm not going to spoil anything here, but the basic setup is this. You've got Star-Lord, goes to kind of Indiana Jones, a very precious, very sought-after treasure, which is kind of orb-like in nature. And as you can imagine, something of that kind of value, he's not the only person that's after it, and through some chain of events, he kind of gets hooked up with the rest of the Guardians of the Galaxy, like Groot, Rocket, Gamora, Drax, and from there, they kind of have to figure out how to combat a greater evil, which I'm sure most of you know what that is, but for those of you that don't, I'm not going to spoil it here, I'm just not going to do it. So, the thing that really spoke out to me about the film, more than just, the fact that it is a Marvel movie and it does tend to tie into, the entire Marvel Phase 2 in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, is I love the humor in it. The humor, it's like they pulled no punches in making fun of themselves, and even the comic book genre at large, like Rocket just has some amazing lines in it, and there's just so much great comedy in it that it's, amazing almost on that merit alone. I mean, despite the amazing action, the action really is great in it as well. But, the fact that I would even venture to say it's the funniest Marvel movie that's been done yet. And that's a bold claim for me, being a huge fan of Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark and thinking that he usually has the best lines in the Marvel Universe. But man, Guardians of the Galaxy just outs it. Just no contest. The other thing I really dug was the soundtrack. Now, at first I was kind of iffy on the soundtrack, because there's a bunch of, pop song stuff from the 70s, I believe early 80s, slightly before my time. But, the soundtrack is killer. I think it's, like, #1 on iTunes right now, because everybody's going out to buy it so that they can, pick up, the Blue Sweet song, and pick up, Spirit in the Sky, and all these great tracks that are featured on the soundtrack. But the thing I really liked about it is they gave it a plausible reason to exist within the film. I mean, there are films like A Knight's Tale, for example, medieval kind of period piece with Heath Ledger, and they had tons of just like 70s rock and roll in it. It was fun, and it worked, but there's absolutely no reason that David Bowie would be featured during that time frame. However, in Guardians of the Galaxy, despite the fact that it takes place present day, I believe, but just in a completely different part of the galaxy, there's very much, actually a very heartfelt reason for these songs to exist within the soundtrack, and it just makes the whole thing all the better. And I said this on Facebook the other day, I really dug the soundtrack for Guardians of the Galaxy, and I can't tell if I'm looking forward to Guardians of the Galaxy 2 more, or its soundtrack more, because I really enjoyed it quite a bit, and I actually grabbed the playlist on Spotify as soon as I could. So that is my thought on Guardians of the Galaxy. Just a fantastic Marvel movie, really came out of left field with these kind of relative unknowns, and still managed to be just an outstanding film. So let me know, what did you think about it in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe. And one more thing, if you go check out the Geeks Podcast Facebook page, that's facebook.com/geekspodcast, of course, we're actually going to be doing a giveaway to give away, I think 3 or 4 of the Guardians of the Galaxy Pop Vinyls. So go ahead and go over to the Facebook page, check that out, and see if you can win your own very tiny version of Rocket, which I have myself, and is absolutely adorable. So thanks again so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Later.